Imagine waking up one morning and the sky is a little brighter. Not just bright, blinding. The air is heavier, sweat clings to your skin before you even move, and crops wither under a sun that feels strangely aggressive. But it's not a heat wave. Earth has moved just a little closer to the sun. It doesn't sound like much. What difference could a few million kilometers really make? Well, buckle up, because in the cosmos, even the tiniest shift can rewrite everything we know about life on Earth. Our planet orbits the sun at just the right distance, about 93 million miles, or 150 million kilometers. It's called the Goldilocks zone because it's not too hot, not too cold, just right for liquid water, breathable air, and complex life to exist. But what if Earth orbited just 5% closer? That's only about 7.5 million kilometers, a cosmic blink of an eye. Yet it could trigger a chain reaction that turns Earth into a very different world. First, the temperature. A 5% decrease in distance would raise global average temperatures by several degrees. That might not sound catastrophic, but consider this. Just a 1 to 2 degrees Celsius rise in the past century has already fueled more extreme weather, melting ice caps, and rising seas. Now imagine global temperatures climbing by 10 degrees Celsius or more. Tropical regions would become unbearable. Entire ecosystems could collapse. Coral reefs, gone. Glaciers, vanished. The Amazon rainforest might transform into a scorched savanna. And then there's the feedback loop. Melting ice reduces the Earth's albedo, or reflectivity, meaning more sunlight gets absorbed, which makes the planet even hotter. A runaway greenhouse effect could begin, similar to what happened on Venus. With more heat comes more evaporation. The atmosphere would hold more water vapor, which is itself a potent greenhouse gas. Storms become supercharged. Hurricanes grow stronger, wider, and more frequent. But here's the catch. At a certain point, the water cycle goes haywire. Evaporation would outpace rainfall in some regions, turning fertile farmland into desert, and eventually higher temperatures could start to boil away the oceans, not instantly, but slowly, over centuries or millennia. Life might adapt, but not as we know it. So how would life respond? Species that depend on stable environments, like polar bears, frogs, many birds, would struggle to survive. Migration patterns would collapse, food chains would tangle, then break. But here's where it gets interesting. Some forms of life would fight to adapt. Extremophiles, microorganisms that thrive in hot environments, might flourish. Evolution would kick into high gear. We might see new dominant species emerge, perhaps desert-adapted mammals or heat-resistant plants with metallic leaves to reflect sunlight. Humans, we'd be forced to innovate or relocate. Cities near the equator would become ghost towns. Entire nations might need to move north or south. If those areas remain habitable, agriculture would shift dramatically. Crops like wheat, rice, and corn might not survive the new climate. Food shortages could become the new normal. Air conditioning wouldn't be a luxury, it would be life support. Energy grids would groan under the weight of global cooling demands. And then there's geopolitics. Countries with cooler climates might suddenly hold the world's most valuable real estate. Climate refugees would number in the billions. Wars over water and arable land? Not science fiction, just a grim reality. Oceans are Earth's climate regulators, but closer to the sun they become ticking time bombs. As surface temperatures rise, ocean layers stratify, blocking the circulation of nutrients. Marine life suffers. And remember, the oceans also absorb CO2. Warmer water holds less gas, so more CO2 stays in the atmosphere, supercharging the greenhouse effect. The oceans acidify, killing off shell-forming organisms. Coral reefs bleach and die. The marine food web shatters. At a certain threshold, the oceans start to evaporate into the atmosphere. And if we get too close to the sun, we risk becoming a second Venus, clouded, toxic, and bone dry. Now here's the twist. Earth doesn't need to move much for disaster to unfold. Even a small change in orbit, caused by a rogue planet, gravitational shift, or astronomical collision, could set this process in motion. But let's say we see it coming. Could we fight it? Scientists are already researching solar shades, massive reflectors launched into space to reduce incoming sunlight. Others imagine terraforming Earth with carbon capture tech or building underground cities. There's even talk of propelling Earth back to a safer orbit using nuclear propulsion or asteroid flybys to subtly shift our trajectory. Science fiction? Maybe. But if our sun were to grow hotter on its own, as it eventually will, we might have no choice. This thought experiment isn't just about doom, it's a powerful reminder. Earth exists in a razor-thin margin of cosmic perfection. The balance is delicate, and while a sudden orbital shift is unlikely, climate change is already nudging us toward a hotter world, one decision at a time. By imagining the extremes, we learn to appreciate the present and realize how vital it is to protect the equilibrium that makes our world livable. So, what if Earth were closer to the sun? In short, life would fight, adapt, or vanish. Civilization would bend or break. But most importantly, we would be reminded that everything we depend on, from the air we breathe to the food we grow, relies on a cosmic balance so precise, it borders on miraculous. And maybe, just maybe, that realization is enough to spark a little more care for the only home we've ever known. Because we're not just floating in space, we're dancing on a tightrope, warmed but not burned by the sun.